can inspire the other. Chris Connolly reports. And how they did playing can inspire the other. Chris Connolly reports.
Pennsylvania's Susquehanna Valley has been passionate
and how they did playing and how they did playing against the odds. Can inspire the other. Chris Connolly reports.
Pennsylvania's Susquehanna Valley has been passionate about high school football for generations. In the last 10 years, no team has dominated the region like the Southern Columbia Tigers. Yet it took a while this season for some people to notice that there was something unusual about Southern's first defensive formation of every game. There were only 9 players on the field. 9 players, a team minus 2. That's what this Pennsylvania powerhouse became on July 28th, when a midday swim turned into a horror of powerful currents and turbulent whitewater. When it was over, 2 players were dead, and the heart of a great team had been broken.
We didn't know how the players were going to respond, but it turned out the way we kind of thought they would respond. The number one item that has helped is that they always reflect back to what those 2 would have wanted.
Teammates Tarek Leglid and Eric Barnes were 16, juniors at Southern, pals since childhood. Tarek would do or wear anything to get a laugh, but his clowning came from sadness. The death of his younger sister, Kira. Afterwards, a 4-year-old Tarek would try his hardest to cheer up his grieving mom.
He would do his best to help me to stop crying. He'd like do the, put my face into a smile or whatever. And I think that the clowning around thing sort of started.
Eric Barnes was a pitching star with an 80-mile-an-hour fastball and plans for a big league career.
In his freshman year, he just progressed to be great. There were scouts looking at him already this past year, and he definitely had a future.
Tarek was always saying that he was going to be Eric's manager and make big bucks off of Eric going into professional baseball.
Tarek and Eric were just 2 of the Southern players who, after lunch at a preseason football camp on the grounds of Bloomsburg University, decided to take a dip at a nearby swimming hole in Big Fishing Creek, between an abandoned railroad bridge and an old dam. But rain had soaked the area, and the creek was running much higher than normal.
A bunch of us said we were going to go over and jump off the dam. I looked over and I saw that the tide was like really, really fast and didn't look too safe.
Pulled over the dam, 14-year-old Colby Snyder was helpless in the churn beneath. Before long, so was Tarek Leglid. When Bobby Admire and Eric Barnes heard cries for help, they raced to the dam's edge.
He made it there first because he was closer to the dam than I was. And then he jumped in, then I jumped in.
As Colby began to pass out underwater, he grabbed onto something. It was Bobby Admire's leg. It took Bobby precious moments to free himself from the current and swim Colby's now lifeless body to the riverside, where he tried to resuscitate him.
And finally I gained conscious, and I opened my eyes, and I was staring for a good, minute or two. I realized that it was Bobby, and he was giving me CPR.
What was it like when his eyes opened up and you knew he was alive?
A big relief. Big relief.
But Bobby Admire's sense of relief would be all too short. Tarek and Eric were still missing. A sense of dread came over the team. Hours passed. Coach Roth braced himself for the worst. Finally, a rescue worker confirmed that Tarek and Eric had drowned in the creek.
The next statement that he made was, so you need to address the team now about it. And, that's the most difficult thing I've ever done.
What did you do when you heard that the first time?
Just broke down and cried. I don't know. I went to the bathroom and I couldn't breathe and I was coughing and stuff. I really couldn't believe it. I was in shock.
For survivors, there was grief and guilt. Bobby Admire would torment himself for not having rescued Eric, too. Meanwhile, officials had already notified Tarek and Eric's families.
Asked if anyone else was hurt. And then they said, yes, that Eric Barnes also died. And I'm just like, gosh, they were such good friends. And the trooper, he was young, and he's like, they must have been good friends because Eric went to save him.
If that was Eric, he would have never been able to stand there and watch it or do something about it. And if he would have gotten out without Tarek, he couldn't have lived up to himself.
No one would have blamed Sherry and Peggy if they'd isolated themselves in their grief. Instead, they reached out to their son's anguished teammates.
They were here personally right from the beginning of the season, trying to let the boys know that, we want you to care and we want you to miss them, but don't for a minute let down on the field.
To channel their feelings for Tarek and Eric, the team wanted to honor the two players who would have started on defense, something even more special than the patches they would proudly wear.
Somebody just kind of blurted out, we should just start with 9 guys on defense. And, there was a brief moment of silence and everybody was like, that's a great idea.
And my initial reaction, being a football person, I'm like, yeah, well, that'd be great until they run the ball down your throat.
I think it's probably one of the best ideas we could have thought of to honor them, because it's just showing that they're there and we're always going to need to look to them for our strength and support.
This most remarkable tribute began on September 3rd, as 9 Tigers took to the field on defense for the first play against Loyalsock. They broke up a pass play. 2 plays later, the team was at full strength when Bobby Admire recovered a fumble and ran it into the end zone.
It kind of broke the ice, and now it was like, we're just going to have fun and start playing football again.
Southern started every game with a 9-man defense and never gave up a big play. The Tigers finished the regular season 10-0, undefeated for the first time in a decade. But the playoffs, against the state's best for the Single-A championship, still lay ahead.
In their minds, they don't feel that the season's going to be complete unless they can honor Tarek and Eric with a state championship, and I know that's how they look at it.
What would it mean to win the championship again with them as your inspiration?
I think, in a way, we wouldn't be able to do it without them because they're just always in our hearts.
4 playoff wins returned Southern to the state championship game.
The Tigers looking for their 3rd consecutive state championship, facing the Rams of Rochester.
One last time, the Tiger D took the field with 9 players, took the season's ultimate goal into their hands, and became champions.
Dan Latour, his 4th rushing touchdown of this game. The final score, Southern Columbia 35, Rochester nothing. A fitting fitting tribute to their fallen comrades.
Winning this game for me is more like a gift. Like, I wanted to give this to Tarek and Eric because they would want it, and I wanted to give it to them, and I did.
Then at the Tigers' victory rally, a woman who'd found the courage to whisper so much encouragement stood beside Tarek's younger brother and raised her voice in thankfulness.
I am, gratified beyond belief for how you have kept Tarek and Eric throughout this whole thing. The 9-man defensive play is amazing. And I'm sure it's amazing for everyone who watches it. But for us, it's amazing.
They did what they set out to do. They really needed to do that for themselves, and I think for me and Sherry.
Afterwards, the Southern players gathered around their friends' mothers one more time. Sherry and Peggy offered warm gratitude to those inspired by their sons, and motherly comfort to the guilt-ridden and the still inconsolable.
Kind of felt sad. Like, whenever I think about it, I always think it should be me. And whenever I see them, I think it should have been me instead of them.
For Bobby and Colby and those who loved Tarek and Eric, there may be trying days ahead. But those who were lost in the waters of Big Fishing Creek have found a permanent place in the hearts of this championship team. With the 9-man defense, a team +2.
Thank you, Chris. In the quarterfinals of Southern's playoff run, the Tigers set a national high school record by rushing for 772 yards in a 76-47 victory. And this past Saturday, senior captain Bobby Admire gave his verbal commitment to play football next season for the University of Maine.
Still it comes through. The Patriots play their way into the Super Bowl once again while earning a win down in Jacksonville.